At 7:12 p.m., the order was placed. It was a standard food delivery request. One meal, one drink, contactless drop-off, paid in full. The instruction was simple. Leave at door. The app confirmed the order instantly, and by 7:18 p.m., a nearby driver accepted it. The estimated arrival time was 7:34 p.m. Nothing about it stood out. It was just another routine evening delivery in a quiet residential area. At 7:33 p.m., the driver arrived at the address. The porch light was on, the house appeared still, and there were no signs of urgency or movement inside. He knocked once, waited, then knocked again. There was no response. Following protocol, he placed the food at the door, took a photo for proof of delivery, and marked it complete at 7:36 p.m. From his perspective, the job was done, but the food remained untouched. The door never opened. Hours later, that untouched delivery would become the center of an investigation that will reveal something far more serious than a missed meal. The question shifted from why no one collected the food to what had already happened inside the house before it arrived. The victim was 29-year-old Adiz Alconquo, a remote worker known for her consistent and structured lifestyle. She lived alone in a quiet gated duplex and followed a predictable routine every day. She logged off work around 6:30 p.m., prepared or ordered dinner, and spent her evenings watching television before going to bed at a regular hour. On the night in question, her routine appeared unchanged. At 6:58 p.m., her work system recorded a final logout. At 7:05 p.m., her phone briefly disconnected from Wi-Fi and reconnected, suggesting movement within or near the property. At 7:12 p.m., she placed a food order. Payment went through immediately, and the order was assigned without delay. At 7:14 p.m., her phone showed its last recorded activity. After that, it went completely silent. No messages, no app usage, no screen unlocks. This small gap would later become critical in reconstructing the timeline. The delivery driver later described the house as calm and ordinary. The lights were on, curtains partially drawn, and there was no visible activity inside. Nothing about the stop raised concern at the time. Many customers requested contactless delivery and did not respond to knocks. He followed instructions, left the order, and moved on. The delivery was marked complete at 7:36 p.m., a timestamp that would later become one of the most important anchors in the investigation. The first sign that something was wrong came the next morning at around 8:10 a.m., when a neighbor noticed the food still sitting outside the door. It was unusual because food deliveries were never left untouched overnight in that manner. The packaging was already beginning to degrade, and insects had started to gather. The neighbor knocked, but there was no response. She called Adiz's phone, but it rang without answer. By 9:02 a.m., another neighbor joined, and repeated attempts were made to get a response from inside the house. When these efforts failed, authorities were contacted. At 9:27 a.m., officers arrived and immediately noted the untouched delivery. It had clearly been sitting there for hours, completely ignored. At 10:14 a.m., officers entered the home after receiving no response. Inside, everything appeared orderly. There were no signs of struggle, no overturned furniture, and no visible damage. Her phone was found on the kitchen counter. Her laptop was closed in the living room. A glass of water sat half-finished nearby. The scene did not look disturbed. It looked paused, as if normal life had stopped abruptly in the middle of an ordinary evening. The lack of visible disruption made the situation more confusing, not less. If nothing looked wrong, then where was she? Investigators turned to digital evidence. The delivery app confirmed precise timestamps. Order placed at 7:12 p.m., driver sign at 7:18 p.m., arrival at 7:33 p.m., and delivery confirmed at 7:36 p.m. Adiz's phone data showed no activity after 7:14 p.m. This meant whatever happened occurred within minutes of her placing the order. Surveillance footage from nearby homes added further detail. A dark vehicle was seen moving slowly at 7:20 p.m., reappearing at 7:24 p.m., then stopping just outside camera view at 7:26 p.m. At 7:31 p.m., a single figure was seen walking toward the property, face obscured, moving with purpose. By 7:33 p.m., the delivery driver arrived, and no other movement was visible. No one was seen leaving immediately afterward. This created a narrow critical window between 7:14 p.m. and 7:33 p.m. inside. That short span, all normal activity had stopped. Investigators examined the property more closely. The main door showed no forced entry, but the back door was found locked yet not fully latched, suggesting recent use. Inside, a faint scuff mark on the hallway floor indicated movement inconsistent with the otherwise neat condition of the house. Phone tower data revealed an additional detail. A secondary device had connected to a nearby tower at 7:19 p.m. and remained in the area until 7:38 p.m. It did not belong to a Dees or the delivery driver. This confirmed the presence of another individual during the critical time frame. Further analysis identified that the device belonged to a former colleague who had recently been dismissed from the same company. Records showed repeated attempts to contact the Dees in the weeks prior. On the night of the incident, he had arrived in the area shortly after 7:15 p.m. The timeline eventually revealed that there had been no forced entry because the door had been opened willingly. The encounter inside was brief and escalated quickly, interrupting her routine almost immediately after she placed order. By 7:14 p.m., her phone had gone silent. By 7:31 p.m., the suspect was seen leaving on surveillance footage. By 7:33 p.m., the delivery arrived, marking the moment normal life should have continued but did not. Once identified, the suspect was arrested within days. Digital evidence, location tracking, and surveillance footage aligned to form a clear sequence of events. During questioning, he attempted to downplay his involvement, but the data left no uncertainty. Every movement was accounted for. The delivery record became the key piece of evidence, showing that the disruption had already occurred before the food arrived. A Dee's structured, predictable life had been interrupted in a narrow, invisible window of time that left almost no immediate trace. Neighbors were unsettled not by what they saw, but by how normal everything had seemed. A quiet evening, a routine order, a delivery left untouched. Nothing unusual until it was too late. The truth was eventually reconstructed not through dramatic evidence, but through timing absence and a missed response to something as ordinary as a knock at the door. It was just a routine delivery, until it became the moment that exposed everything.